Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classic Lesson Non-Classic. This episode number 2494, double number 2388. Yes, with this one, 6 more to go to 2500. First up, we're discussing X-Force, Volume 2, Hide/Fear. Yes, for some reason this particular volume of X-Force does it for the trades. This comes from Volume 4 for the series for X-Force. Yes, this was the book. Now, of course, I've discussed Volume 1 already. That's why I'm on this volume already. Yes. Now, this book is written by Cy Spurrier. He does all 15 issues of this book. This book only collects basically the issues 7 through 10 and also issue 300 of X-Men Legacy. Now, in 7 through 9, basically... Now, let me point out the cast of this book. We have Domino, Cable, Mimi, who is actually Hope Summers, Morrow, Dr. Nemesis, and I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Surprisingly, when it comes to this particular book, now, this line most made the same, and then pretty much after the very next issue 11, Eva is dropped from the book. Don't really know why, but she is. Eva, if you're not familiar with this person, this is the nervous system of the character Phantom X. Phantom X is a character created by Grant Morrison. A character who's been around on and off over the years, gotten some development here and there. But one plot thread of his that Rick Remender started, that Sam Humphries kind of continued one issue of his volume for Uncanny X-Force, was him having 2 clones. There is Lady Phantom X, and there is also Evil Phantom X, which they were introduced in the final issue of Uncanny X-Force Volume 1, and then they disappeared, not to be seen again until one issue of Uncanny X-Force Volume 2, and that was it. Lady Phantom X has not been seen since then, neither has Dark Phantom X. Yeah, this is also something that, of course, Tina Howard decided to bring back when she was writing Betsy Braddock during the series Knights of X, where Betsy Braddock was out of this basically she brought back the concept of her being bisexual. Sam Humphries was the one who started it. Tina Howard cannot be blamed for that, because that's one thing you can say that was not her idea. She did not create the concept, she just brought it back. Making Rachel Gray her girlfriend, that was definitely her idea. But in this volume, Betsy Braddock herself is in the Conan look for this run, which is the look I was familiar with when I started reading comics. Now, it's revealed in these issues, in the first 3 issues of this book, that Cable is sleeping with her. And referred to her by her real name, Elizabeth. Yes. Do not know the reason for this. Domino's in the book, surprisingly, but here's the thing with Domino. Domino has generally been depicted as Cable's love interest over the years. They've slept together, they've made out. One point he told her, he says, "Shut up and kiss me." Yeah, he said it in the comic. And for some reason, Marvel has moved away from that concept of Cable, where he's with the beautiful Domino. Instead, basically, Domino one time hooked up with Colossus as a lover of hers. That last in this book, and one other book that basically both feature in. I do gotta praise Cy Spurrier for this, for keeping Domino in X-Force, because this actually is one book that basically utilizes the best. She works best with X-Force. And you might be asking, the current book published by Marvel Comics, does it feature Domino as a starring member of the book? The answer is yes. Yes, she is. She's still part of the book. She's missed some issues, but technically put, she's still part of the group. Which, smart move on Ben Purvis to do. Yep. Because, generally put, she's part of, every single lineup she's part of this group for a long time. Yes, Domino has. Yeah, there's not one version of X-Force that you, well, with exception of Ecstatic. Generally, a lot of times she's part of X-Force, and her part of the book group is fantastic. Now, aside from the fact Betsy Braddock is sleeping with Cable, for reasons unexplained to me, yeah, it's something that Cy Spurrier decided to do. Yeah, put these two in a relationship, which, by the way, no writer in Marvel Comics would even reference this because it only lasted for this one book. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're after basically, well, here's kind of the thing. They're basically after Mojo. Yep, and then issue number 8 introduces the Pleasant Pluckers, which are comprised of basically people from the six, like basically you have these reporters, and this would lead into a team up with MI13, you know, the Captain Britain group, which this lamb in the book is comprised of Pete Wisdom, Gloria, who is Megan Braddock, aka Brian Braddock's hot wife, and the mother of his only child, and the character Excalibur. No, not the team Excalibur. She is just a woman who wields the sword Excalibur, and the Pleasant Pluckers get killed off here. Now, here's a fun fact about issue number 9. I'm going to show up the cover here. Issue 9 is one of the many, many covers of Marvel Comics that love homaging Uncanny X-Men number 100. Yep, there it is right there. Issue number 9. Yep. Yeah, they love doing this. I do not... It's... By the way, the artist of this book is Rock Ki Kim. That is the name of the artist here. A Korean artist whose first book was technically in a way the first ongoing series was this very book here. This is the only book, aside from 2 digital books, that this person worked on. First book this person worked on as an artist was Infinity Against Time, which was a digital book written by Jason Latour, issue 2. Then he did Captain America Winter Soldier Infinite Comic, which had the MCU debut of, well, before the movie appearance, for Crossbones. And the person did this book here, and that was it. No, seriously. This is the only book this artist ever did the interior for. But, here's something interesting. Did you know this artist did the cover art for Age of Ultron in this book? And after this book wrapped up, here's the covers that he did it for. Age of Ultron vs. Marvel Zombies number 1, the Fac-Smile edition of Amazing 15, Incredible Hulk Fac-Smile, Black Panther Agents of Wakanda number 3, Atlantis Attacks number 1, Venom Volume 5 24, and Atlantis Attacks number 3. And I've covered like almost everything here except for Black Panther Agents of Wakanda. Yes. Now, what exactly happened to him? Not sure. Yeah, it is something, the fact that this book was homaging it. Yeah, after with X4, after with MI13 here, before it got to issue 10, we have talked about Uncanny X-Men 300, X-Men Legacy 300. This issue is noteworthy for one thing. I really wish Basic could stop doing that. Come on. Thank you. Now, unlike here's the strange thing though. This was the last issue of X-Men Legacy release to date. Now, Simon Spurrier was writing the issues that came before this. that featured Legion, Charles Xavier's son, who committed suicide in the last issue. And this is back in 2014, and he remained dead for years. Well, until he got brought back in his own miniseries by Peter Mulligan, because of the Gift of TV show, and of course he's basically kind of there for the current stuff here. Now, this last issue, here are your writers for this book. Side story, obviously, Mike Carey, the guy who wrote one of the writers of the previous volume, and Christos Gage. Christos Gage, if you're not familiar with his work for X-Men Legacy, he took over after Mike Carey left the book. Mike Carey had a 4-year run of the book that started with Supernovas. That was the very first story he worked on. He did it right after him against Blood Apocalypse story, which was really good, by the way. I've heard people describe Mike Carey's run as boring, but I love this run. Now, it became X-Men Legacy. The title, of course, it was retitled this with issue, I believe it was 213, I believe it was. Oh, it was 208. Yes, 208 is basically where it was after 207. They decided to rename it that. Do not know why, but they did. Now, of course, also where Mike Carey, of course, the Supernova story arc, that was like 8 issues. Yeah, it was a really kind of a lengthy story arc that was. Yeah, started with issue 188, and it wrapped up with issue, 193. But the trade itself continued afterward. I think it went to like 199, I think it was. Yeah, here are your stories basically Mike Carey did. Supernovas, which is 6 issues, which took issues 188 to 183. Primal Infection, which is like the very next thing. That was 184 to 196. Red Data, 197 to 199. Blinded by the Light, which is issues 200 to 203. Which is the backup feature for this one. And of course, it was continued with 204, which is Blinded by the Light Epilogue, which is the backup feature for A Dangerous Species. And then from 205 to 207 is basically parts 5, 9, and 13 of Messiah Complex, which was really good. And then you had a story called 5 Genesis Revolution. Now, one thing I think was really cool about this particular period of time for X-Men Legacy was that issues 208 to, I think it was like 212. Actually, more like the first 3 issues. It was basically connected covers. Yeah, they for some reason they did this. It's sort of in a way dealing with X-Men history. Then we have Sins the Father, which is from 211 to I think like 214. Then we have Walkthrough, which is a quick 2-parter. Which is 215, 216, 217 to 218 is Original Sin, which is crossover with Wolverine Origins. Then from 219 was standalone issue. Then 220 to 224 is known as a Savage story arc. Now, at this point in time, the book was basically under being a solo book for Charles Xavier. That's most of what this book was. And then afterwards it became a rogue book. Yep, with other characters. Yep. I think started with issue like 225 became her book. Yeah, Retreat. Specific Fire, which is a quick 2-parter. Devil with the Crossbows, which is basically a 4-parter. That, believe it or not, the first one was actually in the X-Men Legacy Annual. And then you have Give Up Your Dead, which is basically tied into Neurosha. Really good here. Tell to Her, which is the epilogue to that story. 235, 237 was parts 4, 8, and 12 of one of the best crossovers that I ever read. I love the story. Second Coming. Then you had Collision, which lasts from 238 to 241. Then you have Fables Reconstruction, which was the aftermath to Second Coming. Yeah, it's weird they have this Collision one. They have aftermath with Reconstruction. You have standalone issue, Not So Blind. And then you had Age of X, which took up issues 245 2, basically like, well, the main story like 247 was main story was like parts 1, 3, and 5. 42, 42, 49, that was the aftermath issues. 250 was the Lost Legion story, which ended with 253. And then you have 5 Miles South of the Universe, which is 254 to 258. And I think like Mike Carey wrapped up his run with, I think it was issue 260. Yes, I believe this was. I believe this was his last issue he did for the book. Yes, 260 was his last issue he did. And then basically from 261 up until the final issue of this run was under Christos Gage. Yep. He pretty much did the rest of this run. And then you had Volume 2, which is basically Legion's book, which was pretty interesting what it was. And then you have this issue 300. Yeah, I'm sorry I have to go through basically what these things go through, but here, I'm just talking about this stuff here. Now, I get why they put Mike Carey and Christos Gage in this book with Side Spirit, because these three are the last 3 own writers for this book. Of course, also, this is the same book that started back in 1981 as X-Men Volume 2. The title was changed first, it was called X-Men Volume 2 for the first 110 issues, and then with 111 to 154, it was New X-Men, and then became X-Men Volume 2 again with issue 155, and it made that way till, like I mentioned, 208, 207. Then you have the rest of the volume, basically 275, that's X-Men Legacy, and then you have the second volume here. Yep. I highly recommend checking out my reviews for that stuff, because this run, in my honest opinion, was really good. Yeah, this is, of course, the period of time which I love this era for comics. 04 to 2012. In my opinion, one of the best eras in comics. I love this era. Now, this particular issue is the final issue release of the series. And here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that the last known 300 issue was released back in, wait for it, 2012. This came out in 2014. And here's another fun fact. Did you know this was also the last known 300 ever released by Marvel Comics? Actually, no, there was one. This was the second to last one ever released that we have 300, because the last known released was Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man issue 300, released back in 2018, 5 years ago. Yeah, 300 is basically very popular for Marvel for years, and then, like, Marvel just didn't care. Now, if you ask me personally, like, what could be the next series to reach 300? As of right now, the only series that could possibly reach that far, as of right now, is Moon Knight. That's probably going to be the next one. Yes, She-Hulk is getting kind of close to be for 200, but not 300. So, it's going to be Moon Knight. Not many books Marvel Comics have done 300 issues. Like, a lot of the big ones have. This actually was one of the last ones for quite a while. Until 4 years ago, we had a Spectacular Story, which I was hoping to do that. Now, the story of this book is called Forget Me Not. It's a double-sized issue. It introduces a character known as Forget Me Not. A character who wears an outfit associated with the Grant Morrison run. Yes, he said he's been a member now for 6 years. Basically, what this character is, he is a retcon character. Yep. So, the Dream Girl's Got Higher Learning is basically this person who's a burglar trying to break in, and of course takes the helmet, and it's basically like, oh, come on, seriously?
9 techniques.
Sorry about that. And we have this, I think it's, come on, seriously? It likes doing this for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I click on one thing, goes like something else, this advertisement. So, takes the helmet, and it's some girl with a disfigured face who's trapped in a force field. And apparently, Forget Me Not's power is that he makes people forget who he is. Like, it's like they see him, they remember who he is. And once they look at him, they completely forget he's there. And he's been there since they did with the Brood, Age of X stuff. Yeah, like I mentioned, a retcon character. He basically puts him in the force field. The burglar herself basically just, well, yeah. As for who this girl is, they never ID who this person is. She's only this one issue. And in memory of the Human Coalition from the Age of X stuff, yes. So basically, yeah, it references various different stories from X-Men comics that he was retconned to be part of. Brood, Utopia, Age of X, and Moralizing Fears Xavier. Yeah, his real name is Zabi. Do not know his real name. Yes. And of course, basically, he trapped himself in this wall, and then he's not seeing it until X-Force, Volume 4, number 10. Oh, by the way, now the base operation of X-Force is on a abandoned helicarrier known as Perseus. And there's some kind of mission with him. And once he supposedly dies in this issue, he comes back a little bit later. Like, just a few issues later. Yeah. He comes back like 3 issues later after supposedly dying in issue 10. How he comes back? Well, they don't really say. He just is back. For reasons. Completely unexplained. Yeah. And he's there for the last 2 issues. Pops up in issue of X Factor. An issue Way of X. And then he's in the... Well, now you're probably thinking, does I Spear White League of X? Yes, he does. Does he write Legion of X? Yep. So only one comic this guy appears in is not written by, of course, his creator. Yep. We'll get to that book, don't worry. Yeah, and after the guy dies, and that's the last scene for a bit. But these issues are pretty good. Nothing terrible per se. And there's nothing forgettable about these issues. Alright, next up we have is... Well... Incredible Hulk, House of M. Yep, 83 to 86 is the House of M tie-in for this book. So, by the way, remember up here, David, how does House of M affect the Hulk? Well, he shaves his head, hangs some Aborigines, gives himself a territory, and also gives himself a lover. The female Scorpion's mom. Yep. And basically, kind of in the way, this is what the Hulk was up there in House. It's like basically it's a low-key thing. And for some reason, this doesn't really explain why Wolverine then tried to recruit the Hulk to get his memories back in the main story. Yes, it's almost like this was thrown in here because Peter Day was asked to do this. And then, like, right after House gets fixed, then Bruce Banner wakes up in bed, butt naked, next to Monica Rushi from AIM. Yep, implying these two slept together. Now, oh, by the way, her daughter is here as well, Scorpina. Now, I'm like, dude, Banner, you got the hot woman basically in bed with you? Good job, dude. Yeah, this woman is hot. No denying that. But this story was actually pretty good. I actually really enjoyed this. And 87 was a good epilogue to this. And you probably think, okay, what happens next after this story wraps up? Well, Planet Hulk happens next. No, I'm not kidding about that. Basically, first we had Prelude, the Planet Hulk, where basically we had a crossover of Fantastic Four, with like the Hulk go into space, and then we had the critically acclaimed and popular Planet Hulk story. Then we had, of course, we had World War Hulk. Excellent story, what it was. I actually love the story itself. The tie-in itself, really, the feature Hulk at all, that much. It kind of similar functions to that of Daredevil, which has its sort of character. It's mostly put what Hulk was off screen. And of course, numbering was taken over by Hercules for the next few years. Yep. He took over what would have been the 112th issue for Incredible Hulk Volume 2. Yep. But, really good stuff here. I'm going to give the storyline a 10 out of 10 because this was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Now, because I reached this far, and the stuff that came afterwards, I've already reviewed. Incredible Hercules, I'll review at some other point, but right now, Incredible Hulk Volume 1 / Incredible Hulk Volume 2 is all done. So, now is the time to give my final thoughts on this volume for Hulk. The Hulk Volume 1 I thought was really good. The stuff that came afterwards, in my honest opinion, were okay at best. Nothing terrible per se, but I felt as though when Bruce Jones took over the book with issue 34, the book was slightly better. And it felt as though it didn't hit its stride until it reached like toward the end of Bruce Jones's run. That's when basically it got a little better. And then all of a sudden he left. Peter David took over the book. And then he's on there for like a year, quits, and hands off to Greg Pak. I think it was, correct? I think it was Greg Pak, because now he took over with later stuff. Let's see. I think it was Pak who did it for the next issue? No, it was Daniel Way who did the next 3 issues. Yeah, he did these 3 issues, Peace in Our Time, and then Pak took over. Yeah, Daniel Way had a very brief run in the book. Yeah, and then Pak took over issue number 92, and was here to pretty much the end of the run. Yeah. I don't think the issues were bad per se. It's just that they just were okay. But when I finished reviewing this, like, okay, I guess I'm done with the majority of the series of issues published in the first decade of the 20th century. Like, I thought what it was done. Like, and I thought about it. Like, wait, there is one series left that came out this period of time that didn't stop halfway the decade or part way, like published issues of the entire decade. There is one series left that did this. And you're thinking, which one? I think he did every one. Because it seems like every single major series that issues published in the 2000s, like, aren't they all done? Have we finished all of those issues? The answer is no. There is one series left to go that had issues published in the first decade of the century. And that series is Thunderbolts. Yep. Thunderbolts. I'm thinking I might, before I do She-Hulk, because I was hoping to do She-Hulk next, I think I might do that first. You know, basically get Thunderbolts out of the way. Because, well, with the exception of She-Hulk, She-Hulk is another one that did have issues published in the 2000s, but not from start to finish. No, she came in about halfway through a decade. But I'm talking about start and end decade, had issues published almost every year, but like maybe like 1 or 2. But Thunderbolts is the only major series left to go that had issues published almost the entire decade. Yep. So, She-Hulk is going to wait. Thunderbolts is next. And I'm going to review that alongside with X-Force, which seems like a pretty good idea because both series started in the 1990s. Yeah. So, there will still be Hulk reviews, definitely. It's just that basically only Hulk reviews left to go because Volume 2 is all done for Incredible Hulk. Which is good. So you're thinking, okay, what's left? The answer is basically Volume 1, which is the working right now. I'm basically about a little over halfway through the Visionary books for Incredible Hulk. So I may be able to finish those in the future, so there's that. So that's going to be pretty much it for Took View. I'm just going to go ahead and watch Case Closed, just knocked out of the way, and may get time to do our comic corner. Maybe. Okay, next video. Bye.